So, one of the things that I do for helping change behavior is trying to make it harder for them to find the information simply by asking someone. So, for example, if you had team members coming to you and they were saying, "Hey, how do I solve this problem?" Or, "Hey, where do I find this information?" Instead of giving them the answer, you say, "Have you checked here first?" I can dive really deep on these other pillars. And these other ones, in most cases, I'm going to refer to someone like you guys, for example, because that's your specialty. But I still want to call it out when I do these audits because I will see it and they need to know that this is something that they need to address. How do we optimize it? How do we ensure that our students are getting good results? So when you're thinking about what numbers are important, I always recommend that you have someone with you who has kind of more of an objective perspective on it versus your ideas can go all over the place and you need to have someone who can say, "Yes, I love this idea. Let's talk about this for a few minutes. I'll take some notes, but then I'm going to put it in our little file over here because it's going to distract us from something else." So you need someone to help you focus on the right KPIs, the right numbers, the right focuses. And it can be really hard to do that when you're in this place of being a visionary. But we also need the visionary role as well. So it's more about just having the right people in those seats, even if they're part-time or a consultant. It helps so much when you're in this role as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think it's probably, well, I know I did it. Like a solopreneur, a freelancer, sort of an early stage, business leader can kind of get by early on without really knowing a whole lot of numbers. Maybe the business isn't as complex or they're in everything. But I think that what it seems to do as you grow is it just gives you insight into things. It just gives you insight into the health of your business and the way that you might. Recently I've been monitoring my steps and I've, been trying to hit, that certain KPI there. And I've bought a food scale and I'm, measuring my calories. And I think one of the interesting things in that regard is sometimes you're surprised and you're surprised by how much calories are in a certain thing or, when it comes to our business and we've started tracking things, I'm sometimes surprised by either how good or bad, a number is when it may seem or may feel fine, but then when you actually get some data on it, you're able to bring, like you said, that objective perspective, which I think is so critical when someone's running a business.
Yeah, exactly. In order to be as effective as possible and move as quickly and scale the way we did, we increased our revenue 6 times over 8 quarters. And I essentially had a new job every quarter. I was working there full time. And we had to be so intentional because say I do some work and then I leave it, I'm done for the day. And someone who's in the next time zone comes in is like, "Oh no, I need these things in order to complete this work that has to be done today." And I wasn't intentional with my communication around what was done, where I put information, where the links are, et cetera. Then either they're going to be having to ping me and interrupt time with my family, or maybe they can't reach me and then the work gets delayed, or they're just confused, or I send them in the wrong direction because I wasn't clear. And then they do the work and we have to redo it because it was done incorrectly. Like so many people don't consider how intentional you have to be for the person who is receiving the information. And this is one of the core things I do when I work with teams, where not only do I work with the founder, but I work with their team as well to help improve their communication all around, because it's this whole feedback loop around how exactly do we share communication? How is it received? And then what can we do better next time? What is the issue there? Are they not a right fit for the role, which is oftentimes the case? So how do we bring in these A players so that the founder can then trust those people? And then once we have good people in place, how do we help train the founder so that they learn how to trust these new people? And so then we go into infrastructure of what are the systems in place to create the trust between the two of them. There's one tool I really like to recommend that I would highly suggest anyone listening uses called weekly reporting. Essentially, all it needs to be is a form that asks four to 5 main questions. What were your wins for this week? And this is something your team fills out every week. What were your wins? What were your challenges or blockers? What are decisions that were made? What are some things that are coming up on your roadmap in the next few weeks? And then what are some things that you're seeing that maybe I should be aware of? What that does when your team proactively shares that information is it helps give them ownership of their communication. So I mentioned some communication issues earlier. This helps alleviate a lot of that because it keeps the founder in the loop and helps the team understand that they have to be proactive in covering all of these areas. Also, it's a benefit for the team members because if they want to be promoted or put on new projects or make more money or get more hours, whatever it is, that helps show the founder that they are doing all the things that they should be doing, and in some cases more than they expected.